You're standing in the shower, the water turns cold for half a second, and every hair on your arm stands straight up. You didn't ask them to. You didn't think about it. It just happened. You've felt this 1,000 times. During a sad movie, during a song's final chorus, during a scary story told around a fire. But the real answer for why it happens is far stranger than temperature or emotion. Your body is doing something that used to save your life. Look closely at your arm right now. See the tiny bumps rising around each hair follicle. That's called piloerection. Pilo means hair. Erection means to raise up. Underneath your skin, a tiny muscle called the erector pili is pulling each hair upright, one by one, all at once. You have thousands of these muscles. You've never consciously moved a single one, and yet somehow they all fire together in perfect unison without you doing a thing. Why? Rewind 200,000 years. Your ancestors are covered in thick body hair. Not fur exactly, but enough to matter. And when the temperature drops, or when a predator appears in the grass, those erector pili muscles fire. The hair stands up. Tiny pockets of trapped air form between each strand. That trapped air becomes insulation. It's the same principle behind a down jacket. Fluff up the fibers, trap the air, hold the heat. For a hairy ancestor, goosebumps meant survival on a cold night. But there's a second reason, and it has nothing to do with temperature. When a threat appeared, that same reflex fired. Hair stood up, and a smaller, hairier primate suddenly looked bigger, broader, more dangerous. You can still see this exact behavior today if you know where to look. Watch a cat when a dog corners it. Its back arches. Its fur puffs out in every direction. It looks twice its actual size in under a second. That's piloerection. The same reflex, the same ancient wiring. A frightened cat isn't randomly fluffy. It's running a survival program that's been in mammals for tens of millions of years. Your ancestors ran the exact same program. Except somewhere along the evolutionary line, humans lost most of their body hair. The thick coat that once trapped heat and made you look larger thinned out into fine, barely visible strands. The hair stopped working, but the reflex never got the message. This is what biologists call a vestigial reflex. The mechanism survives long after its original purpose disappears. Your appendix is vestigial, your tailbone is vestigial, and your goosebumps, in a very real sense, are a fossil. Not a fossil buried in rock. A fossil still running live on your skin, every single day. Charles Darwin was one of the first scientists to write about this seriously. In his 1872 book on the expression of emotions, he described watching animals raise their hair or feathers when frightened or enraged, and he connected it directly to the same reflex in humans experiencing fear or awe. Darwin didn't have modern neuroscience, but he noticed the pattern immediately because it was staring him in the face every time a human got scared. So the cold shower makes sense. Genuine physical cold, an actual survival trigger, still fires the reflex exactly the way it did for your ancestors. But why does a piece of music do the exact same thing? This is where it gets strange. Psychologist Jaak Panksepp studied this question for decades. He played music to research subjects and tracked exactly when goosebumps appeared. What he found was that the chills weren't random. They clustered at specific moments. A sudden change in volume, an unexpected key shift, a voice breaking through silence after a long, quiet build. In other words, your skin was reacting to surprise, not to cold, not to danger, to an unexpected shift in the environment. Here's the connection. Your nervous system doesn't fully distinguish between different kinds of unexpected intensity. A sudden temperature drop is unexpected. A predator appearing in tall grass is unexpected. A voice suddenly soaring into a high note after a hushed verse is unexpected too. Your ancient alarm system doesn't ask what kind of surprise this is. It only asks how intense it is. And when the intensity crosses a threshold, it fires the same ancient reflex, whether you're standing in a snowstorm or sitting in a movie theater. This is why goosebumps show up during the exact moments people describe as chilling, moving, or overwhelming. Researcher Psyche Louis, working at Northeastern University, used brain imaging to study people who reliably get chills from music. She found something remarkable. Their brains showed stronger connections between the auditory cortex, which processes sound, and the regions involved in emotional processing and reward. For some people, this wiring is dense and reactive. Music hits harder. Chills come easily. For others, the wiring is thinner, and the same song produces almost nothing. Either response is wrong. It's simply a difference in how tightly sound is wired to your ancient alarm circuitry. Think about the last time this happened to you. Maybe it was a movie's final scene. Maybe a stranger said something so honest it caught you off guard. Maybe you stood somewhere vast, a canyon or an ocean, and felt suddenly small. In every one of those moments, your erector pili muscles fired. The same muscles your ancestors used to survive a freezing night. The same muscles a cornered cat uses to look bigger than it is. Your body doesn't have a separate reflex for beauty. It borrowed the oldest one it had. There's something almost poetic in that. The same biological alarm that once protected a hairy ancestor from a predator in the dark is the exact mechanism now firing when you hear a chorus swell, or watch two strangers reunite at an airport, or read a sentence that says something true you've never heard put into words before. Evolution rarely invents something new when an old tool can be repurposed. And your skin, it turns out, has been repurposed constantly. What began as insulation? What became a threat display? What now somehow has become your body's private signal that something matters, that something is worth paying attention to. This is why goosebumps rarely appear during boring moments. They appear at peaks, at turns, at the exact second a pattern breaks, and something unexpected rushes in. Your ancestors needed that alertness to survive a world of sudden danger. You've inherited the same circuitry, running now in a world of sudden beauty. Next time it happens, notice where you are. Notice what triggered it. It might be cold. It might be music. It might be a memory surfacing at the wrong moment, catching you completely off guard. Whatever it is, your body is doing something it has done for hundreds of thousands of years, reacting to the unexpected the only way it knows how. You're not imagining the chill. You're not being dramatic. You're running a program written long before language, long before fire, long before anything you'd recognize as human. So the next time you're standing in a shower and the water turns cold for half a second and every hair on your arm stands straight up, remember what you're actually feeling. It's not just cold. It's 200,000 years of survival still awake beneath your skin.